So one of the big talking points during the Italian Grand Prix weekend was new links emerging between Daniel Ricciardo and Mercedes, with it being reported a move for the Australian to the team as a reserve next year is a very real possibility. Since then, Ricciardo has given a new statement on his future, and in another update on this silly season, Red Bull are having to change their driver plans, with Colton Herta reported to be out of the frame for an F1 seat next year. But before we begin, if you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe for more Formula 1 content, and you can follow me on Twitter at James_Formula1 and there'll be a link in the description. So it was reported last month that Red Bull was targeting the IndyCar race winner for a seat at its sister team AlphaTauri. While the team were very keen on the move, it hit a hurdle due to the issue of him not having enough points on his super license to compete in F1, with him having 32 of the 40 required. Now Red Bull tried everything it could to ease Herta's path, and according to Autosport was even involved in helping arrange a run for him in Alpine's private test next week. But the FIA has said it won't be pressured by any teams into decisions on matters such as super license points, and it's now been reported that Red Bull have now abandoned their original plans and efforts of securing him. The team's motorsport advisor Dr. Helmut Marko told Motorsport Total, "It's a shame that people don't realise what value an American driver, especially a guy like Colton Herta, would have for the booming American market, especially with 3 F1 races." So what does that mean for Pierre Gasly? I mean, he's been the favourite for filling the vacant Alpine seat, and the team have been in discussions with Red Bull over releasing the AlphaTauri driver. But AlphaTauri will need a suitable replacement, and if they don't get one, then it's most likely the case that Gasly will remain at the team for another year. And Marko was quoted as saying, "It's being evaluated right now what possibilities there might be." So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Red Bull camp, because I do feel that even though Alpine are doing this private test, their best option is Gasly, and I think Red Bull have a lot of options to choose from to replace him at AlphaTauri. I mean, Nick De Vries showed what he could do in an F1 car at the Italian Grand Prix, and in a twist perhaps Aston Martin reserve driver Felipe Drugovich could get the seat on loan. Now I've done another video on Ricciardo and Mercedes, and I'll leave a link to it in the description. But in a nutshell, this all started when Ricciardo was heard saying he was happy to take a sabbatical next year before coming back in 2024. Then the Daily Mail reported that Mercedes is seriously considering bringing him in next year as a reserve, stating that Ricciardo is under consideration to come in as Lewis Hamilton's replacement in 2024, should he leave at the end of 2023 when his contract expires. Now when asked about this link, Ricciardo simply said no comment, which does suggest they had entered discussions. And while Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff believes Ricciardo is deserving of a place next year on the grid, he did not rule out the Australian coming to Mercedes next year. So that all indicated the move is a very real possibility, and while Ricciardo previously said he doesn't know what his future looks like but wants to be on the grid next year, after the Mercedes talk he's now said that he's okay with not being on the grid in 2023. He was quoted by Racing News 365 as saying, "I've certainly accepted if I'm not to be on the grid next year, I'm okay with that. I've accepted that I'm not going to do everything, or my management team is not going to do everything just to put me on the grid if it's not right, or it doesn't make sense. If I am on the grid, I want to know that it's a place that I can enjoy and feel like I can thrive in, so I don't want to just jump into a car for the sake of it." So the fact Ricciardo is now coming out and saying that he's happy to be off the grid next year, in my opinion, shows this Mercedes move is much more likely to happen. I mean, if he wants to be on the grid next year, his only options are Haas and Williams, who both currently don't have the resources to fight for the title. But if something did open up for him at one of those two teams and Daniel wanted to be on the grid, then I'm sure he would have played down being off the grid next year. But given the fact Daniel's now saying he's okay with not being on the grid in 2023 and refused to rule out being in talks with Mercedes, show that the move to the team as a reserve next year could very well happen. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care